guys, welcome in. So what you're seeing in the background is the new spirits build I have for you guys. It's a green-black spirits deck. It's based with DWP, which is Despair, Wail and Perish, but it's also combining that with the green spirits ability of Green Imp, like sealing a random enemy unit, and Clay Guardian, you gain +1 MP every time a spirit unit dies. And this whole deck is about letting your spirits die, then activating their abilities, and then bringing them back from the graveyard, or putting them back on the field for one basically till they hit, just to keep overwhelming your opponent and basically taking control of the match and draining your opponent of resources while you still have an abundance of resources because you have your graveyard at your disposal. Yeah, it's super fun, so let's go take a look. Alright, so let's take a look at the deck. So first I run 1 Disarm, which inflicts Seal. Next I run 3 Green Imps, because Green Imps on death they inflict Seal to a random enemy unit. Well-Laid Trap is a new seal, and it inflicts Seal on one enemy unit, and that unit cannot counter. Stimulating Scepter is a new legendary card, and it's really good to use as you could use it both as a defense and kind of an offense in the last minute. Give one unit death plus gain +2 MP and make it 2/2, so you can use it on a super strong unit the opponent has, and then it will make them a 2/2, so you can remove them. But the cost is they get 2 MP, but that's not much of a trade-off. I run 2 Clay Soldier. When a friendly spirit unit dies, gain 1 MP. This is kind of like the Seeker, or like the surprise card in this deck is Power to Shared Bonds. All friendly units gain death, give all friendly units +1/+3. So it really buffs your units, because this deck just cycles spirits through dying, repeating. I run 3 Curse Zone. It gives 2 random spirit units to your graveyard -1 MP and returns them to the EX pocket. I run 3 Deadly Resonance. It places a random spirit unit with an MP cost of 4 or less in your graveyard onto the field, and they get destroyed after 1 attack. Makes great ascend targets. 3 Thunderdoom Mirror. Gives a random spirit unit with an MP cost of 2 or more in your hand or EX pocket -1 MP. Cycle units faster. 3 Tube Foxes. Has agility, death, remove this unit from the game, and if it's ascended it gets +1/+1, and death place this unit in the same board slot. So it recycles through. Oops, skipped. Civilization Rebel Sigma, he's always good in any deck that splashes black. He has Infinite Revenge, and he gains +2/+4 on Revenge, and if Revenge is triggered 8 times or more, he gains +3/+3 and Heavy Pierce. Run 2 Clay Drummers. When a friendly spirit unit dies, give -2 HP to a random enemy unit, so that helps you clear the board. Demon King Oda Nobunaga, he has Revenge, and he gains attack and HP equal to their respective values when this unit died, and Ascended gains +1/+1 equal to the number of attacks destroyed by this unit's Ascended ability. So he can become super strong, especially if you drop him over something like Jiro. When a friendly unit dies, gain +2 HP. And Saburo, when a friendly unit dies, gain +2 attack. The new Oichi, I really like her in this deck, mainly because people try to avoid hitting Green Imp, and if you have her Green Imp on the field and then you drop Oichi, she is, when played, destroy 1 random friendly spirit unit and place that unit back in the previous occupied slot. So you can basically multiply your graveyard and also like proc Green Imp automatically, like drop him, it automatically procs. There's another one on the field you can seal again. And then the last card is Dark Whisper Oichi, the legendary Oichi. While in your hand or EX pocket, she gains -1 MP every time a spirit unit dies, and on attacking she places a random unit in your graveyard with an MP cost of 5 or less onto the field, and it changes HP to 1, so it kind of takes its spot, deals blocks or deals damage, whatever it needs, and Ascended she gains +1/+2 and place a random spirit unit in your graveyard on the field. So when she's cycling through, you can ascend over the top of the unit she brings onto the field. You can just use them to block, build walls, do damage, put Power to Shared Bonds on them, and then they die, and then they give Oichi the power, It's just a great cycle deck. This deck works all around your units dying and replacing them with them again, or pulling them from the graveyard, things like that. So that's the deck. It's very fun. We're going to go over some gameplay a little bit, and then we'll move on. So we'll get it right over to that gameplay. Okay, so the first game is against the Plunderblade. You don't see a lot of Plunderblade anymore. You actually don't really see it at all. You never really saw it at all. It's Feline's it's more of a niche art and takes a lot of practice to get used to. So right off the bat, I'm dropping the green imp. I have a way to ascend over the top to automatically seal something on field. I also have Oichi, who's a good way to do it, and that's what I did. I used it to block and then also to seal that Kushala, and I drop another green imp because I'm just going to ascend over the top and hopefully seal whatever comes to the field. He redrops it, and I just ascend over the top of one of the imps, and we're rolling again. I didn't get the seal on Feline, which I should have just sealed him immediately, but I kind of let it run through, so I kind of got lucky here. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I could drop something in the top lane, and I will eventually. As I ascended Oichi over the top, and it got another seal, and it sealed Nero, and that's all she wrote. The next game, yes, it's A1 in free play, but I've been testing this deck a lot, and this was a good game to show. So here we go. Right off the bat, I drop Mirror, just to get something on the field, lessen some HP there, or MP, and I drop Nobu over the top, because with dropping Nobu over the top, I made 2-Bay Foxes cheaper. He sends my Nobu back, and I'm going to seal, but he's going to ascend, or he's going to add some HP, or whatever he wants to do. He wants to get his Gross off. As you can see, I put Thunder Doom out, and right off the bat, I'm just going to ascend over the top. And then I'm going to pull Thunder Doom back from the graveyard onto the field, and ascend over the top again. And as you can see, this deck is all about bringing cards back and ascending over the top of them. We're just letting the board do the work here. And as you can see, Green Imp sometimes isn't the best to use because he is random, but sometimes you'll get really good ones. I decided to despair there because I needed the buffs to kind of clear the field. But he uses Soul's Return. I'm going to pull some units back from the graveyard just to make sure I have some units, and I get 2 of the imps back. And again, I can seal over the top, or I can ascend over the top, I mean. So I'm just setting myself up to ascend at this point. And as you can see, that was a quick exchange where I ascended over the top of the imps and I got a double board seal. So, because he removed the middle imp, and then that sealed one of the units, and at the same time I ascended over the top and that sealed the other. And what happened there, it was really quickly, but what happened is Oichi pulled a green imp from the graveyard, and I ascended right over the top with 2-Bay Fox, and what that did is it sealed the Date. And a little last second there, so he can't drop anything in front of it. He still got something off, but it was just enough to buff the top 2-Bay Fox for the win. Now against Denjin. Denjin's making a comeback with all these new damage cards. They're really good. Denjin is really, really freaking strong again. So my best drop there was to drop the Clay Guardian first, and then Sigma because it gets me a send target, and then I will put down Saburo because when I ascend over on Sigma, it'll proc Saburo's ability, so that's the idea at least. But he's not going to let me get there. He's just going to keep using his actions. So I'm going to pull a card back from the graveyard just to get a little extra damage. Or a little, like, damage absorption. I'm going to pull another card back. As you can see, this deck's all about pulling cards back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And just recycling the spirit units over and over to basically overwhelm your opponent to a point where they're out of resources and you still have a plethora of them using the spirit archetype. I knew I only had 2 units in the graveyard that could do it, but I wanted an Ascension slot and target for Yoichi. So when I did that, I did the DWP, I knew I had Yoichi in hand and should be able to. And there's using me the power to shared bonds, because as watches this Guardian dies downstairs, when it dies, how my field gets buffed, and it's just pretty much over at that point. And this last game is against Shadowblade, using the new archetype cards through there for the halting, which is really fun. I gotta get experimenting with that soon too. But here we go. So again, right off the bat I drop Imp because I have a way to ascend over the top of him to proc his ability. So we're just gonna play it out. Here's that new Lilith card. So basically, when the hero gains life, she halts a unit on the field for 13 seconds. But she got sealed, so it doesn't really work. She's going to change her unit on the field into Nobu and destroy mine in the process, but, you know, ascend, so, or revenge and ascend, so he's really not dead. And he got sealed with the green imp. But they have Miraculous Awakening to keep him alive, and pull more units back from the grave, get me some more of those green imps. Because then I can just seal that Nobu again anyways. Here's where things get a little interesting when they drop the Neven, but I knew one DWP would basically help me clear their field. And I'm going to seal that Morgan, but you know the ability when an action is used, she halts, so she got that. Another Miraculous Awakening. I use that opportunity to pull some more cards from the graveyard. I mean, this looks like this Shadowblade deck is super fun, so I gotta get into this, but then we just keep going with Sabro, and then there's 0, and I swear that when there's a stall here that didn't happen in the game, it's just happening in the recording for some reason. See, so that didn't happen in game, but for some reason when I went to record it happened. So the HPs are off a little bit. I was actually down to about 15 at this point. But I DWP to get that field. I'm hoping to bring back an imp here so I can seal Zero's ability, but I don't. So then he technically went back. And then it's just rolling from here. And then there's Velkhana, but with Velkhana I can ascend over the top. And as you can see, it's all about draining the resources. So yeah, that's the deck, guys. Super fun. deck to play, it basically just plays fast and you just keep recycling those units, so it's really fun at that point. Like I said before, all about pulling units back from the grave, all about just using that spirit archetype to its best ability, and I thought with the green imps and the ceiling it would work perfectly. So again, the ceiling's random, so you might not get the best RNG luck, but it at least is worth a shot. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's the video, so you guys take care, you have a good one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.